Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Back at you with a new video. Jadeveon Clowney signs with the Cleveland Browns. 1-year deal. Are now they the team to beat in the NFC? Are they going to be able to leapfrog the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills? We will discuss. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can, either on here, patreon.com/NWSF, or the GoFundMe. And if you're looking for merch, Northwest Sports Fanatic merch, link is below every video on the YouTube page. Follow me, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, at NW Sports Fanatics. And coincidentally, what is on NFL Network, Week 2, 2020, the Cleveland Browns versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I remember doing this live stream, and we ended up getting about 11,000 people plus in this live stream for this epic matchup with Baker Mayfield going against our guy here, Joe Burrow. So this is kind of interesting to me. This is a little topic that I wanted to go over. It's Friday. I'm tired. I don't have a lot of energy. Sarah Small in the building. Nola in the building. The Jordan of fucking YouTube in the fucking building. I'm always grinding. I'm always watching NFL footage. I'm always reading. So as we know, this is going to be the 4th team in 4 years for Jadeveon Clowney. Now, I want to go over Cash Out Hybrid in the building. Ravens flock, what to do. So if we get the old Jadeveon Clowney, that when he was on the Houston Texans, okay, the impact guy, the guy that was at South Carolina that beat the snot out of that Michigan running back, helmet went flying, all right, his best years are past him. I think we can all agree to that. But just like J.J. Watt, all right, going to the Cardinals and getting out of that fucking dumpster fire they call the Houston Texans. I'm sorry for anyone that is a Houston Texans fan. Obviously with the Deshaun Watson drama, DeAndre Hopkins going to the Cards. Now J.J. Watt joining his former teammate there as well. But as I was getting into, sometimes guys that are aging, and sometimes people think that guys are washed up. We've heard that term before, correct? All right. J.J. Watt, to a lot of y'all, you think is washed up. A lot of y'all think Jadeveon Clowney is washed up. But if you end up pairing Jadeveon Clowney on one side, the main question is, can he stay healthy to make an impact with Myles Garrett? Because with Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, you know, #1 picks, obviously it's very rare to get guys on the D-line, #1 picks on the same team, right? But J.J. Watt, a.k.a. J.J. SWAT, if he can go with Chandler Jones and create that duo, someone's going to get double teamed. Someone is going to get to a point where they're going to get sack lunches. It's 12 noon. You know what time it is. It's time for sack lunch. Yum, 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 yum. You're going to hear that. So don't be surprised if J.J. Watt or Jadeveon Clowney stays healthy for a full year. I have more faith in J.J. Watt, all right, than Clowney. But if they stay healthy for a full season, is that crazy to think that they both could get close to 10 sacks or maybe to that 10-sack number? Obviously, we know if Chandler Jones stays healthy, he can get somewhere between 10 and 20. No cap, all right? Clowney is maybe more towards 5 to 10. 10 might be the ultimate ceiling. All right, the floor, maybe somewhere between 2 and 5. If he stays healthy for the full season, you would think at least 5 sack lunches. All right, on J.J. Watt's side, you know, he on the maybe low end, I'm thinking maybe 6, 7, 8, but he could go as high as somewhere between 10 and maybe 13. I'm not sure if he can get over 13, but I mean, if oh boy's going to get double teamed, Chandler Jones, I mean, Chandler Jones could end up getting you 15 to 20. So I'm kind of excited to see where this goes. Now, as far as the team in the AFC North, I definitely think right now, Cash Out Hybrid, he won't agree with me, but I think the Browns are the best team in the AFC North. I think that they have a great chance to win the AFC North, and they might be the team of the future. The one thing I don't like about the Cleveland Browns is Baker Mayfield. They might need to replace him, but they got the running backs in line. You got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, the best duo at running back, player for player. All right? They have a defense led by Myles Garrett now, and you have a few others there that can make plays, all right, but it all depends if Clowney can stay healthy. I mean, if we were going to put money on it, it's probably more likely that Clowney gets injured and doesn't play the whole season than him getting to 10 sack lunches. But if he can stay healthy, that could be the difference between the Browns going to the playoffs as a wild card, the Browns going to the playoffs as the AFC North champion, the Browns going to the divisional round, and possibly if Jadeveon Clowney stays healthy and has a good year with Myles Garrett and they can pair up for somewhere between 18 and 25 sack lunches, yum, 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 yum. That could be the difference between getting to the AFC Championship game or not getting to the AFC Championship game. And I think that the Browns got to be one of the top teams that you got to consider, because on my pecking order, obviously you got the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, but they're going to have to rebuild that offensive line. But with Andy Reid there, right, Eric Bieniemy's still there, a good chunk of that team still there, besides the O-line, even though they got Kyle Long, Mitchell Schwartz is gone, Eric Fisher is gone, right? But you got to think the Chiefs have got to be the favored team. Number two, it's got to be the Buffalo Bills. With Josh Allen and what they were able to accomplish last season, they need to get a running back. Or two or three. All right, the offensive line, they've been trying to work on it. Josh Allen has gotten better. Yeah, they got Diggs, Beasley. They have weapons there. The defense is good. Special teams is good. Head coach McDermott is good. They got to be the second-place team, if not the team that leapfrogs Kansas City. But you can kind of think, all right, those two are positioned to be able to make the AFC Championship game, at least on paper right now, before the draft, all right? And then, speaking of, Ruiz, LA Rams, what it do, baby? AFC, Bills, Chiefs, all right? NFC, Ruiz has great timing. Rams, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, at least right now on paper, with the addition of Stafford, what they got with Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, those are the teams. But if you were looking at a third team that could do some damage, maybe you would say the Green Bay Packers and the Jeopardy host of Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Discount Double Check. But if I had to choose a third team in the AFC, at least today, even before the Jadeveon Clowney signing, I would probably say it's the Cleveland Browns, just because the running game is good. It relieves the pressure off Baker Mayfield. I think that's the one position they need to definitely improve, and getting rid of Baker at some point may be something they need to consider, because the offensive line is good. The running game is good. The head coach is good. The defense could be improved, but it's getting good. All right, special teams pretty good. So they got a lot of weapons. All right, they can get to an AFC Championship game. So for whatever reason, if the Buffalo Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs slip, right, chances are one of those two teams is going to be on the AFC Championship game. I'm not sleeping on the Colts. I ain't sleeping on the Colts, but I think that the Browns have been there and done that. We don't know what we're going to get with Carson Wentz just yet. Let me see what Carson Wentz is going to do. All right, I know Jonathan Taylor is a beast. You got one of the best players at O-line, if not the best player. Quentin Nelson, one of the best O-lines, period, in the league. But what do you got at tight end? What do you got at wide receiver? This draft is going to be crucial to be able to get weapons for Carson Wentz. It can't just be all T.Y. Hilton and Michael Pittman Jr. You need other weapons like Kadarius Toney from Florida, or someone else that can stretch the field and be a playmaker. Defense is great. All right, we already know DeForest Buckner is there from the Niners. All right, you got Darius Leonard, a top 3 linebacker, if not the best linebacker in the league, not named Devin White or Fred Warner or Bobby Wagner, okay? You got key pieces in key positions all throughout the defense. But the key question is, no one's sleeping on the Colts, but based on the running game, the offensive line, the defense, Jack Conklin Jr., bringing him over from the Titans, obviously bringing over Jedrick Wills Jr. from Bama, was the key difference. All right, as well as getting a better head coach than Hugh Jackson, getting Kevin Stefanski. He made Stephon Diggs that deep threat in Minnesota, right? He made, right, the players able on the Browns to make plays. But even with that being said, they don't necessarily need Odell Beckham Jr. or Jarvis Landry. They need some more weapons there, all right? They need someone that can catch the goddamn football, all right? Someone they can trust. So even though Landry's got great hands, Odell's got great hands, Odell is injury prone, I'm not really sure, what you're going to get there. But even with Odell not being available, they still almost got to the AFC Championship game last year. So at some point, they might hit their ceiling with Baker Mayfield. But as far as the O-line, the running game, the defense, right, if they can add Clowney and see if he can stay healthy for the season, if he does, that could be the difference of them knocking off a team possibly like the Chiefs or the Bills or not. And Cash Out Hybrid, you can say that all you want, but as you know with me, I'm not biased. I call it right down the middle, all right? Bud Dupree is no longer on the Pittsburgh Steelers, all right? And the impact that he had on that roster when they were 9-0, 10-0, obviously him leaving We know that team is not the same. Big Ben's a little bit older. They're going to go for a replacement for James the Terminator Kana. He signed with the Arizona Cardinals, so we'll see what he does in a one-year deal if he can stay healthy. But the Cardinals are getting some older players to see if they can make that push in the NFC West and make a playoff berth. All right? But for the Steelers, I don't have the confidence that I did in them. Yes, you got TJ Watt. Yes, you got Minka Fitzpatrick. You got, Juju, dancing around on his TikTok. I just don't feel confident in the Steelers. Now, can the Steelers make the playoffs? Of course. The Steelers could win 9, 10, 11 games. Facts. Same thing goes for the Baltimore Ravens. All right? With Lamar Jackson. All right, we know Mark Ingram is no longer there, but you still got guys like Gus Edwards. All right, J.K. Dobbins from the Ohio State University. All right, you got Hollywood Brown. You brought Sammy Watkins over. You got Mark Andrews, a top 4 tight end in this league. All right, but what are we going to get on the defensive side of the ball? All right, what are we going to get on the O-line side of it? So it's really going to be key. I definitely could see the Ravens leapfrogging the Steelers. Bengals will be at the bottom because we don't know what Joe Burrow's status is going to be like. They got some weapons there, but I don't really see the Bengals really beating anybody besides the Steelers, the Ravens, the Browns. They're still going to be in 4th place. It's going to take a couple more years unless there's a shitload of injuries that happen, and then maybe the Bengals can steal a few. But they're still a couple years away from making the playoffs, in my opinion, unless the whole AFC North just gets bludgeoned with injuries. All right? But if I had to take one team, the Cleveland Browns. All right? As shitty as Baker Mayfield is, I was actually having this conversation with one of my coworkers at work today in the warehouse. I said, the Cleveland Browns, with this signing, I already like them as probably the 3rd best team in the AFC based on their offensive line, their running game, and their defense, as well as their head coach. But I don't like Baker. He's the one that I like the least. I like Joe Burrow a lot more than Baker Mayfield. All right? I like Lamar Jackson a lot more than Baker Mayfield. And I hate to say it, even Big Ben's old porno ass, I like him even more than Baker Mayfield. Baker can't fucking throw. He can't throw worth a shit. And that's why when he was forcing the football, the O-line was shitty. All right? They had some weapons at wide receiver, but he was overthrowing, underthrowing. He can't throw a fucking slant, a go route. He doesn't have the great arm strength like Josh Allen or Mahomes. I mean, what does he really offer you? He's got the swag. He's got the drip. He's got the confidence like he did when he was in college, right, at Oklahoma. But as far as that translating as the number 1 pick overall, Lamar is better. Josh Allen is better. Is he better than Sam Darnold? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see what Sam Darnold does with the Carolina Panthers. Baker Mayfield might be the worst one in this draft. I need to be able to see some improvement. Now, his throwing motion isn't the greatest. His confidence, it isn't the greatest. When he starts off slow, shrugs the shoulders, and, they bail out on the passing game, and they have such amazing weapons with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Those guys and the O-line bail him out. All right? But at some time, if you want to beat the Chiefs or if you want to beat the Bills, right, you're going to have to be able to throw the fucking football on 3rd down effectively. You're going to have to be able to throw the ball on 1st down on play action. You're going to have to fucking bootleg. You're going to have to show me fucking something. And at this point, out of 32 quarterbacks, I put him right in the middle. I would probably take Kirk Cousins over him, but if you're talking about him and Jimmy G, kind of guys that are right in the middle, somewhere between 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, out of 20, 30, you've got 32 quarterbacks in this league. I don't have him in the top 10, nowhere near. I actually have him closer to 20 than I do to 15. I mean, there's a lot of guys that I would rather have than Baker Mayfield. If you ended up having like a Ryan Tannehill on a team like the Cleveland Browns, that could definitely get you to an AFC championship game or a Super Bowl, in my opinion. But I wanted to go over this because I thought it was interesting because I think a lot of y'all are sleeping on the Browns, right? Regardless if they got Jadeveon Clowney or not, I think today they are the 3rd best team in the AFC, and they're not that far behind the Kansas City Chiefs, who need to rebuild their O-line, right? And depending on injuries and playoff time, they almost pulled off a crazy win. All right? And the Buffalo Bills have some weaknesses at running back, as we've seen, and that's kind of been holding them back. So I think with the Browns, with a good defense, good O-line, good running game, good head coach, I can deal with an average quarterback. But if you want to be able to get to the AFC Championship game or Super Bowl, he's got to elevate his game. And if he's not going to do it himself, You got to surround him with better players. Maybe get rid of Odell, or if Odell and Landry stay, you need to get another wide receiver, another tight end. You need to get more weapons to be able to help out Baker Mayfield, because he's not the type of guy that's going to be able to lead the team on his back by himself. That's facts. I mean, I haven't seen the improvement in him, and like I said, he might be riding, the coattails of the running back or Myles Garrett, but it's not him that's literally taking the team to the next level. It's everyone that's around him. The head coach, the O-line, the running game, the defense. But we'll see where it goes. But I still think right now, today, the Cleveland Browns are the third best team in the AFC, in my opinion. All right? NWSF Chain Gang in the building. Of course, there's other teams that might surprise us when we go into next year. The Miami Dolphins, if they have a great draft and Tua plays great. Maybe the Baltimore Ravens, maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hey, maybe Justin Herbert for my boy on the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could leapfrog and take that next step. But based on what I've seen from last year and what they got right now, depending on what happens in the draft, don't be surprised in the AFC Championship game that the Browns get there in the next couple years. If they don't get there this year, don't be surprised if they get there in 2 to 3 years. I definitely think that there's an opportunity there, especially with the Chiefs and the Bills being the two best teams. If they play each other prior to the AFC Championship game, there's opportunity for another team, and it might be the Cleveland Browns. All right, Jadeveon Clowney signs with the Cleveland Browns, 1-year deal. Are they the team to beat in the AFC? Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash the fucking like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can, either on here, patreon.com/NWSF, or the GoFundMe. And if you're looking for merch, Northwest Sports Fanatic merch, link is below every video on the YouTube page. Follow me, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, NW Sports Fanatics. Sarah Small in the building, Nola in the building, Cash Out Hybrid in the building. He said, I don't care if they got him. Lamar and the Ravens are still the best. Incorrect. Now, if they can show me they can get someone at wide receiver better than Hollywood Brown or Sammy Watkins, all right, and they can keep building the O-line and find a replacement for Marshall Yanda, and they can build the defense, then I think the Ravens could be the number one team. But again, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins were pretty good, but they need starting running back caliber. Those guys are kind of change of pace backs to me. So if you can get that Mark Ingram from a couple years ago, right, that kind of stud that's going to get you, 12 to 20 touchdowns in a season, and you have Gus Edwards on third down, and you have the change of pace back and J.K. Dobbins where you can throw him in the flat and he can get you some touchdowns and spread the field, all right, either in the running game or the passing game. There's still some holes there that you need to fill. But at this point, I like the Ravens more than I like the Steelers, right? But the Steelers, right, like I said, the Browns, the Ravens, they're only one injury away or two injuries away where one team could leapfrog the other. So, I mean, like I said, if something happens with some key guys on the Browns, the Ravens could win. If something happens with maybe Mark Andrews, that could be the difference between winning the division or maybe going down and being second or third place. It's all going to be separated by only a couple wins. It could literally be 9, 10, 11 wins between the Browns, the Ravens, and the Steelers. Maybe not in that order. So there could be an opportunity for all those teams to make the playoffs, but chances are the Bengals will be a below 500. One other team will be around that 500 mark, or maybe just a game over, and then you'll have two teams that will be a few games above 500. Now, which two out of those three will it be? We're going to have to wait and see, but if I had to pick right now, I would say definitely the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens, unless something happens dramatically with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, if they get Najee Harris and he starts popping off, that could be the difference with that team leapfrogging a team like the Baltimore Ravens or the Cleveland Browns. All right? Cash Out Hybrid in the building. He said, JJ's a little washed. Well, you say that, but it all depends on where you're at and who's helping you. If you got a guy like Myles Garrett, to me, who's one of the best defensive players in the league, all right, now you're playing on the other side of him. If Myles Garrett gets the double teams, Jadeveon's one-on-one, and he can stay healthy, he could still get to 6 to 10 sacks. I mean, he might cap out at 11 or 12. It all depends if they can feed off each other, because when you have two great players, someone's getting doubled and tripled. So if that ends up being Myles Garrett, he can still fight through the double and triple teams because he's young and he's elite, and he can still get you 10 to 20 sacks. He's proven that, all right? If you look at Chandler Jones, Chandler Jones. If you look at Chandler Jones, when healthy, I mean, he can get you 12 to 20 sacks, and he can fight through double teams and triple teams. So even though Jadeveon Clowney is old, even though J.J. Watt is old, they can still have an impact on their teams getting to the playoffs and maybe exceeding expectations, because now you got James Atemene-Akana and J.J. Watt playing with Kyler. So at some point, you would think Seattle's got to take a step back with Danger Russ and Russell Wilson. But every time we doubt the Seahawks, they end up making the playoffs and winning the division or getting the wild card, right? So as long as Danger Russ is there, ultimately they're probably good for at least 9 wins if he stays healthy for the full season. The Rams are going to be coming in as a favored team with Matthew Stafford, probably somewhere between 11 and 13 wins, you would think, as long as they stay healthy. The Niners, right, are the team that are kind of on the bubble. Are they going to make the playoffs and surprise everyone and leapfrog them? Are they going to get immediate results from a Justin Fields, Trey Lance, right, or a Mac Jones? I don't know. There's a lot of talent still there, but they got to go after it and get it. And we don't know if they're going to be the 4th place team or if they're going to be the 1st or 2nd place team. It's possible. And obviously with the Arizona Cardinals, they're on the cusp of making the playoffs. So adding James Atemene-Akana, 1-year deal, adding J.J. Swat, that could be the difference between getting maybe 8 wins from like last year, 7, 8, 9. Maybe now they can win 10 or 11. Maybe they can get a couple more wins with those guys and they can make a wild card or contend for the NFC West crown. It's definitely possible. We got to see Kyler take his game to the next level and not get hurt as well. Ruiz, LA Rams in the building. What to do? Cash Out says, I can't trust Clowney or Baker. They're definitely suspect. They're definitely sus. All right, but the Browns showed a lot of improvement and a lot of promise. They're like the Buccaneers to me. You know what I mean? Teams that were very shitty for a long, long time, and they finally broke through. And I remember a lot of y'all were clowning me when I said, hey, the Browns and the Bucs, we could both make the playoffs and do some good things, even though we haven't made the playoffs in years and years. The Bucs didn't make it since 2007. But with Brady, you had belief that you might not be able to beat the Saints in the NFC South, but you could probably get 10, 11, 12 wins, and we did. And we overachieved. The Browns overachieved, but it all depended on the head coach, Kevin Stefanski, and that O-line acquisition of Jack Conklin from the Titans, big loss for the Titans, as well as Jedrick Wills Jr. from Bama in that draft. You got 2 great starters on that line, and when you have great starters on the line, and they got a few other mean hosses out there, right, mean dogs on that O-line for the Titans. So it showed you, even though they didn't have, right, a great defense, the Titans, right? But you could kind of see, all right, A.J. Brown, Tannehill, Henry, they could put up points with the best of them. So it's interesting to see where it goes, but I'm not too sure where we're going to get as far as the acquisitions. There's still some good free agents available from now until obviously we get into the NFL draft. Will there be trades? We will have to wait and see. But I'm excited about this move only if Clowney can stay healthy. If we had to put money on it, it's more likely that he'll end up getting hurt and banged up and not continue a full season. But if he does, this could be the difference between making the playoffs, winning the AFC North, or maybe even going to the AFC Championship game. I don't want to crown them and say, hey, they're going to be able to go to the Super Bowl based off this acquisition, because that would be crazy. But definitely getting to the playoffs, definitely possibility of winning the AFC North, and maybe overachieving and getting to the AFC Championship game, regardless if they have Clowney or not. And that's big facts. Regardless if they have Odell or not. They already proved it last season that they were pretty solid, right, without Clowney and without Odell, obviously, being out there for him. And that's big facts. After COVID, I can't out the facts that the Browns can win a Super Bowl. You never know. You never know. I don't think Baker's good enough, at this point in his stage of his career, but crazier shit that's happened. You know what I mean? You still got to get past the Bills, still got to get past the Chiefs, but we will wait and see. Let's see here. Cash Out says, if the Browns had Tannehill, then I would be scared. Of course. That's who I would want on my roster as well. What up, Orion and NWSF? Clowney, trash. LOL with Miles looking scary. On Baker, yeah, absolutely. And that's a nice duo, with both of them there. They're definitely going to feed off each other. It's going to be very interesting to see where it goes. Sarah Small, love your content. Appreciate that. Nola in the building. What to do? Did you hear about Hardy's dad passing and Aaron Donald getting sued? I did hear about Hardy's dad passing. Shout out to Jeff and Matt Hardy. That's definitely crazy. He said, yo, boy, in the zone. Dylan in the building. What to do? Jadeveon Clowney signs with the Browns. 1-year deal. Are they the team to beat in the AFC? We discuss. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can, either on here, patreon.com/NWSF, or the GoFundMe. And if you're looking for merch, Northwest Sports Fanatic merch, link is below every video on the YouTube page. Follow me, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, NW Sports Fanatics. All right, new hoodies are available, $34.99, 2021 edition. Cop one and help your boy out. I had a couple meetings with some investors and people that are going to sponsor the channel. I had one opportunity, but they're overseas. So I don't really trust anyone that's not in North America. Obviously, if they're going to pay me, X amount of dollars to shout out their company or promote their company, great. But, if it's not something that I am familiar with, it makes me a little weary. You know what I mean? I'm going to be shouting out your company, giving all the love, letting the subscribers know what this is about. And then if I don't end up getting my money or something of that nature, you know what I mean? So I'm still getting good opportunities, though. I do have a meeting on Saturday, and that's actually exciting. So I already got Collegiate Art Designs, but this one might be number 2. It was looking like it would be number 3, but after I did some research, because that's what you got to do with a lot of these companies wanting you to shout them out and want to be able to pay you to, to kind of promote their company, I got to believe in it. It can't be a jersey company selling fake NFL jerseys. I turned that one down, last year. If you're going to buy a jersey, you buy that bitch from NFL Shop. Not some factory somewhere overseas, okay? I want you to have the best. Just like when I'm wearing, the best. Nothing fake, all right? And then number 2, another one. It was a man cave company. That one looked a little bit more interesting. I might have to get back into that, but it didn't really entice me at the time. Like I said, if you're interested in me and being able to sponsor me or have me be an influencer for your company or your product, I mean, you gotta hit me with the email and be serious. The money's got to be right. The company has to be legit, but it can't be something that I do, just on a whim for little money or no money. Got a little thing in PayPal, thing in the mail. I think they sent me a card. I think they're starting to transition to some kind of debit card system with PayPal. But it is exciting. We're definitely getting to a point where we're closer and closer to the NFL draft. Obviously, I was going to do a video yesterday about James the Terminator Kana, 1-year deal to the Cardinals. But I'll tell you what, this warehouse job that I'm working, it's draining the fuck out of me. All right, my toes and my feet, everything is so just washed and done. By the time I'm off work, I mean, I've been falling asleep. No cap. Like, as soon as I get home at 4:30, 4:45, I fall asleep and then I wake up and it's like 7, 8, 9 o'clock. Sometimes it's still time for me to be able to do a live stream or do a video. Sometimes it ends up being a little bit too late. Like last night, it was closer to 10 p.m. Pacific time, so I figured I would just wait till today. But today I feel a little bit better. Obviously, I got the energy, I got the fire, but obviously with a signing like this, I can't miss on an opportunity like Jadeveon Clowney, even though he's not the player that he once was. I still think he can be an impact guy like J.J. Swat, a.k.a. J.J. Watt. Both teams could make the playoffs, the Cardinals and the Browns. So, I mean, if you're a Ravens fan like Cash Out, you're going to talk shit about Baker. You're going to talk shit, about the Browns. But, I mean, if you really think on where they've been, like the Buccaneers, and where they're at now and what they accomplished last year, don't be surprised if the Bucs get back to the NFC Championship game. Don't be surprised if the Cleveland Browns get to the AFC Championship game or win the AFC North, because I truly feel that they are the best team in the AFC North. Are they the best team in the AFC? I wouldn't go that far just yet. Now, if they had a better quarterback, right, than Baker Mayfield, like a Ryan Tannehill, you could definitely argue, okay, they're right there on pace with the Bills and the Chiefs. I need to see what the Chiefs are going to be able to do on the O-line, but you got to give the benefit of the doubt with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek the Freak Hill, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, Chris Jones, right? And the proper pieces that they have like Honey Badger, that they should be the number 1 team. But guess what? Those Buffalo Bills are hungry, right? And they're getting closer. If you could get a stud running back like Etienne, right, from Clemson, that could make the difference. That could make a world's difference. But them competing with the Chiefs or beating the Chiefs. Same thing goes with the Cleveland Browns. I'm not sure if I'm, satisfied with Baker Mayfield. You get someone better, that might be the difference between getting to the AFC, playoff picture or actually getting to the AFC Championship game. But with that being said, Baker could improve depending on who they draft. If they get some wide receivers, if they end up signing guys, like what if fly like a butterfly, sting like AB goes to the Browns? I doubt it, but you never know. And they draft some more wide receivers and tight ends to help Baker out. But the O-line is looking good. The running game, they got the best 2 in Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. 2 top 10 running backs. I mean, even though Kareem Hunt splits carries, let's not get it twisted. Kareem Hunt could be a starter on literally, I believe, on any team. I mean, yeah, if you got guys like Saquon Barkley or Zeke, and you have certain guys run CMC, of course those guys are the starters, right? But Kareem Hunt could legitimately start, I think, for probably, 25 teams? I would take him on my team on Tampa Bay as long as he can stay, out of trouble. I think he's a guy that can stretch the field. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's hungry. He's a good football player. And you saw what he did in his first year with the Chiefs. If you're going to end up winning an offensive rookie of the year or be in consideration as one of the top dogs when you first come into the league, right? It wasn't just necessarily all of the Chiefs players around him. He had a lot of talent. And I imagine they probably wish that he was still there if he didn't get in trouble. But that was a PR disaster. They had to let him go based on the footage that we saw in the elevator or, going into that hotel lobby. All right? So we're going to have to kind of see where it goes. But it's very exciting for me as a fan that has no bias, to see certain pickups like this, like Clowney to the Browns and J.J. Watt to the Cardinals, where a lot of y'all are like washed, old, can't do it. But I see a little bit deeper. Who's he playing with? Clowney's playing with Myles Garrett, one of the top 5 defensive players right now in the NFL. And you could argue, out of all the pass rushers in the NFL, he might be ranked number 1, number 2, like most coveted. Can you think of another player right now that you would want over Myles Garrett if he could join your team? Right? I'm trying to think of other guys that are on that level. Von Miller's a little bit older, right? You have certain guys like Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, but those guys are kind of injury prone. There's a lot of pass rushers that are out there. Right? But as far as game in, game out effort, I mean, I know he might swing the helmet and hit your backup quarterback like he did with the Steelers. But if you look at it, game in, game out, I'm not sure if there's a player based off his age and his skill set. He might be the most coveted pass rusher right in the league right now. Like if you could have a draft and pick one guy at pass rusher, can you think of one other guy that you would want other than Myles Garrett? Khalil Mack? I mean, Khalil Mack is good, but did you really hear about him last season? I mean, he's kind of trending downwards. He's not really the same player as he was in years past. When we saw him on the Raiders, right? He was amazing. But on Chicago, maybe a couple years ago, right, when they had their little playoff push, when they were really good, right? But as far as of recently, I don't know. Khalil Mack is still a name, right? He's still probably one of the, top 12 defensive players in the NFL regarding based off position. But if I had to choose one guy, I probably would go Myles Garrett over Khalil Mack. As great as Khalil Mack was or is, right? He can do a lot of things, but Myles Garrett, as far as pass rushing and getting to the quarterback and potential of 15 to 20 sacks, of course Khalil Mack can play outside linebacker or DN. He's got that versatility. And then obviously we know with Clowney, as well as Myles Garrett, it's pretty much D-end. I mean, you can put him at D tackle or nose tackle for a few plays, but to be the most effective, it's going to be that pass rush against that left tackle or right tackle, right? But I think Myles Garrett might be the most coveted pass rusher in the league based off his age right now and his production, all right? So don't be surprised if the Cleveland Browns exceed expectations going into next season. I'm very excited to see what they do in the draft. I'm very excited to see what some of these other players are going to be doing in the draft as well. I know Justin Fields had his second pro day, so we're going to see what's going to happen with these San Francisco 49ers. I think Mac Jones, that's a Kyle Shanahan guy. John Lynch likes Justin Fields. And obviously there's a lot of rumors kind of swirling that what if the New England Patriots trade up into the top 10 and take a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance? I could definitely see that happening. Usually it's not the MO for Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels, but this might be the year, to be able to trade up, right? To trade up and get their future Tom Brady-ish quarterback, because if Jimmy G isn't going to come over, or, they're probably going to wait for the Jimmy G value to be absolutely dog shit, and then they'll offer like a 6th-round pick, and then maybe the Niners will just take it, and then, they'll get their guy for super cheap. But Cam isn't going to be a guy that's going to lead them to a fucking Super Bowl. If you want to talk about guys that are washed, right, Clowney might be washed. All right, but if he stays healthy for a full season, he might be more productive than Cam Newton at quarterback. I don't believe in Cam Newton whatsoever. You're going to have more weapons, all right, and there's a chance that you could end up competing with the Bills and the Dolphins. You'll be better than the Jets. You can still make a wild card, and win 10, maybe 11 games with Cam Newton because you have Hunter Henry and you're building all these offensive pieces, okay? I get it. right? But as far as game in and game out, do I believe in Cam Newton? Fuck no. Scam Newton. I don't believe in him at all. I mean, you can still make the playoffs, but you're going to get bounced in the first round. There's a lot of teams that I think that are a lot better than the New England Patriots, even if they revamped in free agency and got the weapons. I see you, Cam, right? But you don't have really good accuracy. You're right. You got issues with your ankles, your arm, your legs, right? Your throwing motion isn't the greatest already to begin with. And now you're 1 year older, right? And chances are, you're probably going to get injured at some point. I just don't think that they have what it takes to be able to be a Tom Brady and get to the AFC Championship game ever again until they maybe get another guy like a Justin Fields. Nathan Dotson in the building. What to do? Jadeveon Clowney signs with the Cleveland Browns. 1 year deal, and I like that. I didn't like the money, though. I saw the money was like $10 million. That's a lot of fucking cheddar, right, for a guy that might be washed up. But you pair him up with arguably the best pass rusher in the game right now, Myles Garrett. That means if Myles gets doubled, maybe Clowney one-on-one, if he stays healthy and learns the secrets and the tricks of the trade and they can vibe off each other, maybe Clowney can have a 10-sack season. And if he does, and Garrett has 15 to 20, and Clowney has 10, that might be the difference between winning the AFC North or not, or getting to the AFC Championship game or not. This team is a playoff team like the Buccaneers. All right, I don't like Baker Mayfield. That's the one spot that I don't like, and usually if I don't like the quarterback, I'm like, fuck this team, right? But they got a great O-line. They got a great head coach, all right, that actually believes in the system. I don't really like their wide receiving core and their tight end core either, but they got enough out there to make weapons, but they got the best running game in football. Probably a top 12 offensive line in football. A pretty good defense that still could, Grant Delpit got injured from LSU. He was supposed to break out at safety. So now you got Myles Garrett, right? And you got Clowney on the other side. So they have some pieces. They don't have all the pieces on the defense. But overall, if you think about the Browns defense, I would say they're probably in the top 12. You know what I mean? So you got a top 12 defense, and they have potential to be probably in the top 6, top 8, depending on who they add in the draft or free agency. So they're getting there. You know what I mean? They're getting there. And we saw if another team has injuries like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they almost found a way to beat them. So they're on the cusp, just like the Buffalo Bills. They're on the cusp of beating Kansas City as being the top team in the AFC. But until they address the running back position and getting some fucking depth there, the Buffalo Bills are going to be the second place team in the AFC for a few more years. But I have a feeling, that their time is coming. Don't be surprised if the Bills and the Browns get to an AFC Championship game. Now, it might not be in the same year. You might get Browns and the Chiefs 1 year, or you might get the Bills and the Chiefs, like we already seen. It's possible. It would be crazy if we end up getting the Browns and the Bills, but they both got a lot of pieces that I like. You typically got to have a running game, an O-line, and a defense. You can work with tight ends are so-so, wide receivers so-so, quarterback so-so, but if you got a head coach, you got running game, you got offensive line, you got defense, you're going to be in the mix, kind of like that New Orleans Saints. Head coach Sean Payton, AK-41, Latavius Murray, an amazing O-line led by Ryan Ramczyk, and a defense led by Demario Davis, a.k.a. the Glue. All right, so you got, a lot of these pieces there. Yeah, the quarterback with Jameis might not be the greatest, but they can still get into the playoffs. It's possible. You got Michael Thomas there, right, but you need another wide receiver. You need to find a replacement for Jared Cook. You need to find a replacement for Sheldon Rankins and some of these other guys, right, and a replacement for T-Rex, who went to the Bengals, right? So there's holes there, but if you have, those are kind of the building blocks of the NFL. And as a guy like me, as a defensive guy, a linebacker guy first, I watch film differently, than most people. They see the quarterback, the running back, the wide receivers, the tight ends, the glory, right? What do I look for? Defense. Do they move their feet? I'm watching the O-line. If they can pull, can they run block? Can they pass block? But if you end up having a great head coach, a great running game, a great O-line, and a defense, those are the 4 things that you need. You can figure out the quarterback situation. Not everyone's going to be a fucking Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen. Those can come later. But if you build those 4 building blocks, head coach, obviously OC, DC is important as well, but coaching staff important, running game important. You got to run in this league, even though they say it's a fucking passing league. That's bullshit. You still need to run the fucking football effectively in this league to win. That's big facts, especially on third down, 3rd and 1 and 3rd and short, okay? Offensive line, you got to be able to run block. You got to be able to pass block. You got to have some fucking hosses and monsters on the O-line, and you got to have guys that can pull. You got to have guys that are versatile that can pull, right, at guard or tackle, that's going to make you even more versatile, especially if your O-line's got guys that can play guard, tackle, center, and you can move them around. It gives you that versatility, all right? And then defense. You got to have pass rushers. A great linebacker and a great defensive leader, the signal caller, the quarterback of the defense. You can work on secondary. Secondary doesn't have to be the greatest right away. Eventually, you're going to have corners and safeties. But if you have a great front seven, right, that can kind of hide some of the weaknesses you have on the back end, depending on if you're playing 4-3 or if you're playing 3-4. And that's big facts. Jadeveon Clowney signs with the Cleveland Browns. A one-year deal. Are they the team to beat in the AFC? We discuss. At this point, not the team to beat, but I definitely put them in my top 3 with the Bills and the Chiefs, and I would not be shocked if they win the AFC North. The king of the North, right, as Jon Snow would say. Now, Cash Out Hybrid ain't having it because he's a Ravens fan, but remember, you might be better than the Bengals. You might be better than the Steelers because they lost Bud Dupree to the Titans. But I'm not sure if you got enough pieces on your O-line, your running game, and your defense to match up with the Cleveland Browns. All right, Lamar needs to be able to take his game to the next level, stay in the pocket and not dance around, right, like he's trying to be on, one of these TV shows, these reality shows, America's Top Star, America's Idol. He's dancing around with the happy feet. We need to have him stay in the pocket, but also you need better fucking weapons. Mark Andrews is a stud, right? But Hollywood Brown, not that good, all right? Sammy Watkins, decent for maybe like a third option wide receiver if he stays healthy, but the knock on him, he's injury prone. But if he can stay healthy, he's a guy that can help. But the wide receiving core definitely is not helping Lamar out one bit. But once they get their Stephon Diggs, believe you me, all right, you're going to get the same kind of results like Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and the Buffalo Bills. That could be the thing that catapults them, all right, from maybe being a wild card team or winning the AFC North to possibly getting to that AFC Championship game, getting that stud. They need a running game, right? They need another piece. They need O-line. But if you get a Stephon Diggs to come over or get a Stephon Diggs kind of impact, that could be huge. A Justin Jefferson kind of impact. That's what the Ravens need. Imagine if you had a couple of those with Mark Andrews. Then it takes that offense to a whole nother level. Then is Lamar going to keep the football? Is he going to run with the football? What is he going to do? And then he becomes the ultimate weapon in the NFL because he's got the fastest wheels out of anybody in the NFL. There's other guys that can run play action and bootleg, right? Russell Wilson's a great example, but he doesn't have the burners like Lamar Jackson does. He is by far the fastest quarterback when he wants to be, down the sideline, up the middle, all right? But if teams are going to key on that, you got to be able to trick them. You got to have some weapons out there. So I'm interested to see what the Ravens and the Steelers and the Browns do, and I'm actually excited for the Bengals to see what they do in the AFC North as well. Joe Burrow, we'll have to see his progression. Penei Sewell, that would be in their best interest, but maybe they'll go for a Kyle Pitts. Maybe they'll trade back, but I hope they go for an offensive lineman because they need it. You need to make sure you protect Joe Burrow. All right, of course, there's other players that are sexier at tight end and wide receiver. Jamar Chase, right? We know he's sexy, right? LSU, he should be a stud, right? Kyle Pitts, tight end, should be a stud from the University of Florida. But getting a guy like Penei Sewell for my Ducks, my Oregon Ducks, that might be that Hall of Fame guard, tackle, player like a Quentin Nelson. All right, if you could go back in the draft and say, hey, man, if you could have Quentin Nelson on your football team, would you take him? Fuck yeah, you would. It could make the difference between your team being decent or great moving forward with Carson Wentz. Because obviously with the O-line compared to where he's going now, there's a drastic improvement with the team. The only downside right now is got to be the wide receiving core for the Colts, and that's big facts. Seppo Rizzo, Nathan Dotson, he said he'll be unstoppable with weapons, but I don't see Baltimore doing that. Well, we'll have to wait and see if they end up getting guys in free agency or if they hit someone on the head, like in the draft, like a Kadarius Toney or a Elijah Moore. There's going to be certain guys. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. But like I said, there'll be other teams like the Colts with Carson Wentz, the Titans with Ryan Tannehill. These other teams are going to be jockeying for position, all right? And maybe even the Chargers with Justin Herbert. I mean, it might take them some time. Don't be surprised, though, if Justin Herbert elevates his game and goes from a top 10 quarterback, which he is right now, to top 5. He might take Deshaun Watson's spot. I mean, based off his accuracy, how he throws the ball downfield, he's got Keenan Allen. You just need to be able to have guys that can stay healthy on the O-line, the defense, Derwin James, and better fucking head coach and a better play caller. So there's other teams that are going to be jockeying for position. The Dolphins are another one. We think that they might be 2-3 years away. Fuck, they almost made the playoffs last season. So depending on what they do, the Dolphins could end up being one of the top 4 teams moving forward in the AFC. So there's a lot of jockeying and positioning. It might not be just the standard Chiefs, Patriots, Steelers, Ravens in years past. Now you're starting to see the Titans, right? You might see the Colts, even though they're starting to kind of make some ground. But with Carson Wentz, this could be big. And if they have a great season, maybe they could get to the AFC Championship game. But also, let's just try to worry about the division winner first, because the Titans are going to be tough. We'll see what Jacksonville does, and Houston's a dumpster fire. So you know the Colts and Titans will be battling. And the Titans didn't really have a defense, but guess what? You added Bud Dupree. So that might shore up a lot of those problems that they had, but they need a lot more than just one Bud Dupree. They probably need like 3, all right? But the Colts have the most well-rounded team today, but they still need wide receivers. So I'm a little concerned because Carson Wentz, what is he going to do? Throw to who? Tight end and wide receivers. So T.Y.'s getting older. He's getting old, all right? Michael Pittman Jr. is average, all right? So I need to be able to see some players get drafted and have some better talent come in, and then that could be the difference between the Colts, or the Titans, winning the division or getting to the AFC Championship game like the Titans did a few years back. Jadeveon Clowney signs with the Browns. Is he the best team for him right now? The Cleveland Browns, to be able to leapfrog the Chiefs or the Bills. Is this an opportunity that we could see Jadeveon Clowney with this team take advantage of maybe teams that are overrated? Do we dare say that the Chiefs and Bills are overrated? I don't know if I'll go that far. All right, those are 2 top dogs right now. But there are other hungry teams coming, and I don't think they're that far behind. I mean, I don't think the Chiefs' run is over of being the dominant team, and the Bills are on the cusp of getting to an AFC Championship game Super Bowl. You can feel it. They're just a couple running backs and offensive linemen away from getting there and knocking off a team like the Chiefs or the Browns and maybe even winning a Super Bowl. But they need to get those pieces first. But based on what I see right now, Chiefs, Bills, Browns, AFC, NFC, Buccaneers, Rams, and you got to give the benefit of the doubt, Mr. Jeopardy himself, the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. Of course, there's going to be other teams, Seahawks, there's going to be the Cardinals. We will see what the Niners will do. Maybe you'll get someone like Washington, right, or the Giants that will do something. I truly think that they will be dangerous next season as well. Washington could be dangerous, same thing with the Giants. But as of Aaron Rodgers and what he brings, you got to think that those have got to be the top 3 teams in the AFC and NFC right now, but there's definitely a lot of wiggle room. But I hope everyone is having a fantastic Friday. Again, I just wanted to hop on. I'm tired. I've been grinding 8-9 hours on my feet. Definitely gets tough, right? But your boy always grinds. I always put in the work. And like I said, I should have a few opportunities for sponsorship. I should have a few more opportunities for me to be an influencer for some of these other companies or other products. And when that happens, I'm going to definitely give back, obviously depending on how much they're willing to pay me, but there'll be more giveaways and more things. So all I got to do is put my head down and keep fucking grinding, get closer to this 20,000 subscriber mark. Anything you guys can do to share the channel, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. If you can get my name out there and get the channel out there to anyone that you know that loves football or loves sports or wrestling, it'd be greatly appreciated. I know we're going to get to that 20,000 subscriber mark again during football season. If we can kind of get closer and closer with the numbers before then, that would be great. Hopefully I can get a little bit of a gain during the NFL draft. And then when we get closer and closer to the NFL season, I know I'm going to get the subscribers to get well over 20,000, 21. I just don't know if YouTube is going to push me. So if they're not going to recommend my videos as much as they did in the first couple years, it's going to be up to people like you guys to help me out so that way we can get this channel to 20,000, 25, 30, 3.3 million views, 4 million, 5 million. And obviously the hours that I'm putting in is going to be relentless, 100,000 to 200,000. But I love you guys and I appreciate you guys. Sarah Small, got a second interview for a credit union call center position tomorrow. Congratulations. Good luck. I'm rooting for you. And like I said, hopefully you end up getting it. This time with the pandemic has been crazy. You still got to be safe with everything that's going on. And I'll always support the fans. You guys are the best fans in the world, the Fanatic family. So I'm going to probably end the stream now unless anyone else has any comments they want to make on James Conner going to the Arizona Cardinals, the Terminator, James Conner. Or if you have some comments on Jadeveon Clowney or anything that you want to talk about, football or wrestling, wrestling related or sports related, you can comment below. But I wanted to do the stream for about 45 minutes to an hour just to show my grind, obviously today on a Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday. Tomorrow will be a day that I take off, more than likely, and then I'll probably be back on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll keep grinding it out. And if there's news to pop off, I'll definitely try to do that. But if you guys have any comments, any questions, anything to do with the draft or anything else, you let me know. But I appreciate you guys. I love you guys very much. James Conner is a good signing for the Cards. I agree too. A one-year deal, because I believe Kenyon Drake is no longer there. So you still have Chase Edmonds there. So you have like a nice 1-2 punch to go with Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, and all those other weapons that you have. Really, it's going to be up to the defense that takes them to the next level, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Arizona Cardinals take a jump. I'm not sure if they're good enough at this point to win the NFC West, but why not? I mean, they're going to be competing with Seattle. They have no O-line. Russ definitely wants out. The divorce is looming, waiting to happen, right? The defense doesn't have a lot of pieces anymore besides Bobby Wagner. They're aging. They're due to take a step back sooner than later, right? Just depending on Danger Russ and his play. But at this point in Danger Russ's career, I mean, he's still the man. He's still a top 3 quarterback, and that's why they go to the playoffs every single year, 8 years out of the first 9. I mean, there's not very many guys that can put up stats like that, all right? But as far as the Niners, that's the real question mark, because of who they get at quarterback. If they can bring it all together, maybe they get a wild card. I'm not sure if the Niners right away can beat a team like the Cardinals, the Seahawks, or the favored Rams, but you never know. This is the NFL. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Let's see, your message from an Eagle, Troll Patrol. Yeah, look up event 201. You know the numbers. It said J.J. Watt could be a good signing with the Cards. I'm more high on him than Clowney. Me too. I think everyone is, right? But let's not take, for fault or consideration, all right, that when you're playing with a stud on the other side, a Chandler Jones, a guy that could get you 10 to 20 sacks when healthy, a Myles Garrett, a guy when healthy could give you 10 to 20 sacks, those guys are going to get double and tripled, all right? So there's opportunities for that other guy that might be aging and a little older to kind of get back to his old form, right, and maybe overachieve and get over 8 sacks. You know what I mean? If I had to take a guess on it, J.J. Watt still gets banged up quite a bit as well. They're both more than likely not going to play the full season. And J.J.'s probably got a little bit more ceiling and upside, right? But I definitely think Clowney could get to 10 sacks, especially if we add an extra game. Because Clowney and J.J. Watt still, even at this point in their careers, could, against a shitty team, get 2 or 3 sacks in one game. Think about that. So if you get 2 or 3 in one game against a bad team, right, that's like a third of your sacks for the season. So even though Clowney's a little old and his motor might not be as quick as it was, or J.J. Watt, they still bring it when they're out there. And I think Jadeveon Clowney having Myles Garrett hold him accountable, you're going to get the best season out of Clowney probably within the last couple years. You're going to see him produce more, run stuffs, getting the tackles from those running backs and chopping them down, but probably more sack lunches this year than you've seen in the past 2 or 3 years, because this is his 4th team in 4 years. Not a good look for Clowney, all right? But I'll tell you what, if Clowney wanted to come to Buccaneers for a 1-year deal, I would take him. You know what I mean? Because I got JPP and Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, and Ndamukong Suh. I wouldn't be expecting the world from them, but if you're playing with studs around you, it's going to elevate your game. All right, especially we're Super Bowl champs. We're Tampa Bay. We're going to hold them accountable. So, even though Clowney might be washed, I would have taken J.J. Watt too. If J.J. Watt wanted to come to Tampa, hell yeah, give me him. I don't expect him to be the J.J. Watt or Clowney of years past, but I know they could still be productive, and maybe they'll surprise you a little bit. Cash Out Hybrid says, people really think that Edelman is not Hall of Fame. Well, I mean, if you look at the numbers, his yards and his touchdowns, it doesn't really say Hall of Fame. Yeah, he's got the second most playoff, receptions besides Jerry Rice, and he's come up big in the playoffs. But if you really look at his numbers and what he accomplished, it's fair to say that he's not a Hall of Famer. I mean, for me right now, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I know you probably do, in the media, right, that spits that garbage in your ear, right? They want to be able to tell you, yes, he's a Hall of Famer because Stephen A. Smith told you so, or NFL Network told you so. But I like to be able to look at the stats and look at the film. Now, based on what he did in the playoffs alone, definitely Hall of Fame. I mean, that Atlanta catch, where that bobble and a lot of these key moments in the playoffs, he's been money, right? But during the regular season, if you really look at his career based off his receptions and yards, it doesn't match up to like a Randy Moss or a T.O., a Megatron, a Larry Fitzgerald. There's a pretty big gap there based off actual stats. I mean, if you're basing it off of just what he did in the playoffs, yes. If you're basing it off regular season and his overall career, no. So, I mean, he's kind of borderline. I don't think he's going to get in, though. It's like Eli Manning. I mean, do you think Eli Manning deserves to get in if it's based off those 2 rings against the Patriots? Yes. But if you look at his career overall, probably not. But he might still get in. He's borderline, not first ballot, but he might eventually get in because Manning is a Manning. Eli, Peyton, they're brothers, right? So, I mean, it all depends. I mean, if you're getting rings based off championships, look at Robert Horry. Robert Horry's got like fucking 7, with the Houston Rockets and the Lakers and all the fucking teams that he went on. He was Mr. Clutch, Big Clutch Rob, right? You know what I mean? But if you're doing it based off championships and rings, sometimes you got to take that out of the equation. So, I mean, Edelman is kind of borderline, but that's my 2 cents. You know what I mean? I think Edelman going to the Hall of Fame, a lot of people in the media will fucking shove it down your throat. But as you know, I don't listen to that fucking propaganda, all right? Fucking on ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS Sports. I haven't watched SportsCenter in fucking 10 years, all right? I don't believe in that shit. Now, if they want to call me and offer me a fucking job, then my story might change and I can bring them some fucking ratings. But, I mean, as far as being real, Pat McAfee Show, real. All right, Good Morning Football, real. Even though they're the TV version and they have to keep it PG-13 or PG. All right, but a lot of this other shit is fabricated bullshit. When I hear Stephen A. talk or Skip Bayless talking these guys, it makes me want my fucking throw up. It makes my ears fucking bleed. It makes me want to stick pencils in my eyes. It's just fucking horrible. And the crazy thing is, these fuckers are getting $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, $8 million a year to talk sports, and they're not even good. It's just based off arguing and based on them being in the business and knowing that they can say some stupid shit and people are going to comment and react based on them just being on their network. There's a lot of other younger people that I know, not including just myself, but there's a lot of other people out there on YouTube and definitely in different circles on social media that I believe that could do a much better job and be more respected and have more of a fan base than Stephen A. or Skip Bayless. And that's facts. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys out there that spit garbage and they want to see reactions. They want to be able to say shit like Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd has great tone. That's the one thing I can respect about Colin. He says a lot of shit that's not true, or he's very opinionated, and he does it specifically, based off his top 5 or his top 10 or what he says, right? But when you actually listen to Colin Cowherd, he's here from Oregon. He started off as the sports guy on the local news and worked his way up. ESPN, now he's got his own show, The Herd, right? But the one thing about Colin, even though I won't listen to him day in and day out, look at the way that he talks. Look at the way he pauses, the way he actually goes about sports and his speech. He's not like Stephen A. who's screaming, or Skip Bayless who's on drugs talking about the Dallas Cowboys. We damn boys, 24/7 thinking they're going to the fucking Super Bowl. It's all fake. It's all for likes. It's all for clicks. It's all bullshit. But when you listen to Colin, he might say some questionable opinions or hot takes here and there, but the way he delivers his sentences and the way that he speaks, top notch. You know what I mean? I can really respect a guy like that. Next time, listen to The Herd. Click on one of his podcasts or one of his YouTube links, to his show, and just listen to the way that he delivers sports news. He's one of the top guys in the industry for a reason and has his own show because the way he delivers his speech. And I can respect a guy like that. But a lot of these other guys are straight trash, homie, and we know it's Stephen A., Skip Bayless, Chris Sims on CBS Sports. So it gives me a lot of faith and opportunity. The Athletic or Bleacher or someone's going to come calling because I know I can speak with the best of them. I got the passion. I got the energy. I got a great following. All right. But if some of these guys like Stephen A. and Skip Bayless are getting paid $1 million or more to talk sports, that gives me a lot of hope that if I keep grinding, the right door might open for me to be an intern or to work somewhere on a show like Pat McAfee Show, Good Morning Football, NFL Network, something. All right, because there's a lot of trash out there that is not good. And I definitely think I could bring something extra to a network or a show that they aren't getting right now. And that's big facts. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. But that's kind of my take on Edelman. You know what I mean? If you're basing it off the postseason, hell yeah. He's come up with some of the most incredible catches in the Super Bowl and in the playoff runs the Patriots had. If they did not have Julian Edelman, a lot of those Super Bowls don't happen for Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. But if you look at his numbers, yards, touchdowns, everything he did in the regular season, it doesn't really scream Hall of Fame. So at best, he's borderline. And I don't know if he's going to get in. But if they do vote him in, it won't be first ballot. It'll almost be like an Eli Manning that, just based on what he did in the Super Bowl, specifically in the postseason, that's going to get him in. But I wouldn't say, oh, yeah, he's on the same boat as Megatron and Larry Fitzgerald, first ballot Hall of Famer, even though he doesn't have a ring at this point. T.O., a Randy Moss, a Jerry Rice. He's not in that same category. WWE Hall of Fame might have the Great Khali, all right? The Great Khali, all right? You might be able to throw in fucking names, Ozzy Osbourne, the Great Khali, you know what I mean? You're throwing anybody, including your mama, in the WWE Hall of Fame. But as far as NFL Hall of Fame, at least they have some fucking standards, all right? Jerry Rice, fucking T.O., Randy Moss, Megatron, Larry Fitzgerald. If you're not in that same kind of boat, you better be someone like a fucking Marvin Harrison or a fucking Torrey Holt. You got to be someone that's up there, that's actually accomplished something and actually put in the yards, put in the work, has the touchdowns, has the resume. There's a lot of guys that are out there that are borderline, right? Or you get guys like Frank Gore. A lot of people are sleeping on him. Dude, do you really realize how many yards Frank Gore has? Frank Gore is a Hall of Famer. Now, he's not a sexy name because you don't get the Super Bowls attached to his name. But if you look at his touchdowns and his yards and where he ranks top 10 overall in rushing and seeing where he is when he climbed from 9th to 8th and you see him climb, that's a type of guy, right? Frank Gore that gets slept on but shouldn't. But obviously people like me, we will know that. So I think he'll get in because of the Patriots. Hey, it's one of those things. At some point, he might get voted in, but he's definitely not a first ballot Hall of Famer, and neither is Eli. But you can make the same case for both of them. Great in the Super Bowl, great in the postseason. So that's the debate right there. You know what I mean? If you're going to vote a guy in for just solely what they did in a few seasons in the playoffs or the Super Bowl, and if they ended up winning and having memorable moments, or if you're going to base it on Eli's good year, bad year, good year, bad year. Because if you look at his career, that's what it was for a good chunk of the seasons. Up year, down year. Up year, down year. I need a little bit more consistency out of you, but he was a fucking gamer. All right, Michael Strahan was a big part of that, and obviously some of the other pieces that he had, and that's big facts. Chris Sims is an idiot, but like I said, he's got a job. He's getting paid for talking sports, and that's my dream, right? So there's other guys out there. Not a lot of good commentators calling NFL games. There's not a lot of people doing good podcasts or doing good shows. So that gives me hope. As long as I keep grinding, more sponsorship will come. More people will know NWSF and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. And you guys are the best fans on planet Earth, the Fanatic family. I love you guys and I appreciate you guys very, very much. Well, I think this is the show. Like I said, I wanted to go for about 45 minutes to an hour. I hope you guys have a fantastic Wednesday. Like I said, if there's any other breaking news, I'll definitely cover it. Appreciate Nathan Dotson, Cash Out Hybrid, Troll Patrol, Message from an Eagle, Sarah Small, and everyone else in the building still watching. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. NWSF Chain Gang in the building. I'll be back very, very soon, especially if more stories break. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and I'll be back. Peace.